One, two, three, one, two, three, and the place to be. It's your player partners from the bottom of the map.
On the bottom of the app.
It's your dog Israel.
Days.
And as always, make sure you tap in with us, hit that like, subscribe, share button, tell a friend, tell your big booty auntie them. It's then again. We back. You know what I'm saying? We went a little nuclear with the last video. We went a little crazy. So we're gonna bring it back to the bring it back to the norm. Especially since Miami is on a bye week. So, we don't have no shit to talk about Miami right now. So we're just gonna look at some of the other games that's going on and kind of talk about like where Miami could end in this whole craziness. Because, like we say, Miami didn't take care of business, and now you putting it in the hands of the voters. And when you got the voters involved, depending on how they feel about Miami and their strength of schedule, shit can be shook up all different types of ways. And Miami could be sitting on the outside looking in. Hopefully,
Nah,
it won't happen, but
nah,
shit.
they got. You just got to win the ACC. Then we don't have none of this is a mute conversation. You win the ACC, and this is a non-conversation. If you don't win, then you don't. You know what it is. So it's either win or it's a conversation. It's a carousel. But
Real quick, because we was just talking about it. A scenario because Miami is sitting at number 9 right now. They 9-1. SMU is sitting at 8-1, but SMU is undefeated in the conference. They're gonna take 12 teams. If Miami ends up with 2 losses, but it's in the ACC championship game, do you think they still get in?
well, I already told you they're gonna take 4 teams from the SEC. They're probably gonna take 2 or 3 from the Big Ten. Um, I think the ACC and the Big 12 are those conferences where it's like, all right, you're gonna take the 4 champions, right? But outside of that, and they're gonna take a small school. I think it's if they take Miami, it's about brand, it's about having Cam, it's just about those eyeballs. This is the first year of the you know what I'm saying? Ultimately, even last year, right? They're gonna pick the teams that they think are gonna be competitive, but they're also gonna pick the big names because this is their first year. And this bottom line is it's about football, but it's about money first.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of the guarantees, it's well, you know what? I have a deal with ESPN. I have a deal with these NBC and these networks. Whose fan base is not only going to travel, but who's going to look good? And I don't think you can be mad with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we knew at the end of the day, whether it was a 4 team, 18, 12 team, you're going to have people. But yeah, I think it's just going to come down to branding. I think, you know what I'm saying? If it comes down to a scenario where it's Miami versus Indiana, they're going to take Miami. But if it comes down to Miami and Penn State, they're gonna take Penn State.
So I think 2 things. I think Cam's Heisman campaign, if it kicks back up when they play Wake Forest, I think that'll have a lot to do with it because you do want to see, a potential Heisman candidate in those games because he does carry a big name. He's going to bring the eyeballs. He's going to bring the publicity, and, especially if his Heisman campaign like ramps up. I think the university has a lot to do with it. His Heisman campaign definitely came to a screeching halt after how bad he played against Georgia Tech in the loss. But I do think that has a lot to do with it. Right now, the Big Ten would have 3, potentially 4 teams that could get in because Oregon is undefeated. Ohio State is sitting at number 2 with 1 loss. Penn State is sitting at number 4 with 1 loss. And Indiana is sitting at number 5 with no losses. I don't see. I think it'll be a tough scenario because they don't fuck with Indiana. Indiana loses to Ohio State. I think they drop them far enough to where if Miami loses to SMU and SMU is ranked, and they move up in the rankings, so SMU is ranked number 14. Let's say SMU gets to 10 or something like that, 11. I think if Miami loses to SMU, and you got Indiana sitting with 1 loss and Miami with 2 losses, I think that loss to SMU, depending on how close it is, may still get them in there because they're going to put 4 to 5 SEC teams in because you got Texas with 1 loss, you got Tennessee with 1 loss, you got Bama, you got Ole Miss, and you got Georgia. If Tennessee loses to Georgia and they went out, um,
Nah, Texas A&M got 1 loss right now.
Texas A&M has 2 losses, but they got 1 loss in the conference.
Yes,
Their one loss outside the conference is to Notre Dame, which is a good loss. So yeah, so they can fuck around and get 6 teams in.
they ain't gonna do that now because they'll be a
You
revolt.
know, they love the SEC though. But if they get 5 teams in, that leaves 7 spots left. They may put, BYU could get in. They're undefeated. Boise State could get in. You can get like Colorado. Washington State has 1 loss. You got other teams that's gonna like start trying to put their resume together, strength of schedule, how they fared in the conference. And Miami has 2 conference losses versus some teams that, if they get to the ACC championship game, I think that can mean a lot. Like, okay, based off of the rankings, not based off the schedule, but based off the rankings, because that'll be the only ranked team that end up playing. If they play SMU in a championship game and they, look good but they lose, I think it's they may be one of those bubble teams. Like, damn, they're sitting between like 12
I
and
got
14.
though before you even get that. So far this season, were they got like they were pretty much having to play catch up in 3 close games. They got 2 more games left. So I hear what you're saying about the championship, but when it get down to it, if Syracuse plays us tougher, dog, what's gonna get us out of the tournament is that they're gonna consider all them things. They're gonna look at the whole body. They're not gonna just look at, okay,
True.
you lost. How did you look the whole season? Oh well, you had to play comeback against Virginia Tech. You barely won. You needed the rest to help you against Cal. You know what I'm saying? You pretty much had to come back against less than inferior competition. So even if you lose to SMU, if you squeak out a win against Syracuse, I think we on the outside looking in. I think that they pass us up over purely because of that.
What
You
do you think? What do you think? Because Texas A&M has they have 2 losses, but they do got a bad loss to South Carolina. Let's say if Texas A&M wins out, because they got to play Texas still. Let's say Texas A&M wins out. Do you? Texas is ranked number 3, and Texas A&M is 15. Do Texas A&M slide in there, and then like a team like Miami, start sliding out because just the schedule on how they play. Because as I say, they can. I think they could get 6 teams in. You
I
think about the
think
committee. Traditionally, they want all the SEC teams. They're the ones who gonna bring the most money. Their fans are gonna travel. All of that shit. They could fuck around and get 6 teams in.
not 6. I can see them. Here's the thing: because the Big Ten is going to have a whole bunch of one-loss teams in that conference, the Big Ten can get 3 teams in.
The
So
Big
if they
Ten,
get
they're gonna have 3. It's gonna be Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State.
okay, so that's 3.
3. They
They'll.
could potentially have 4. They can fuck around and get Indiana in too.
I don't think Indiana gets in because they got 127 for the strength of schedule. That's going to be their downfall. They'll get 3 teams from the Big Ten. They'll get 4 teams from the SEC. That's 7. Now, if you take that 7 and the ACC champ and the Big 12 champ, that's 9. So we only really talking about 3 spots, and they're probably going to take a smaller conference
Like
school or something.
Boise State, put Boise State in there.
Yeah, Boise State undefeated.
Boise State has 1 loss, but their 1 loss is to Oregon.
Okay, so yeah, they let Boise sit. So we're really talking about 2 spots, okay? 2 spots. Now, in that scenario, yeah, you know what? That right there is up for grabs. Do
But
you
really,
want to?
you're talking 1 spot because now you got Notre Dame,
Oh,
as an
yeah.
independent. So Notre Dame, you really talking 1 spot that some teams can really be fighting for.
Yeah, I think Miami's defense dooms them. I think they think about somebody else just because of that. Now, the only thing that can help Miami is if they blow out Syracuse, they blow out the rest of the schedule, and like you said, they look damn good. Miami, they got to be able, if they're going to lose, they need to lose a SMU by 2 or 3 points. And really, honestly, where Miami's at now, Miami just needs to win. Miami, Lance Goodry got to put together. We need to blow out those teams. We just can't lose. I think Miami got to win that championship. I think you got to win the ACC. If you win the ACC, then they put it on. Because think about it. If they win the ACC, SMU has a damn good resume because they only got, okay, you lost to Miami in the championship. Then your only other loss is to an undefeated team.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
BYU.
Yeah, sneak in. SMU sneaks in. But Miami just needs to win. And I think it's interesting because this week Syracuse is going to play, and Wake Forest is going to play. Now, Wake Forest they're a 10-point underdog against North Carolina. If I think I don't even think Wake Forest is good this year. So here's the key here. Wake Forest, I don't know what their record is. They probably got 4 losses. We got to look good against them. We can't, they can't put 30 points up. Okay. They cannot put 30 points up. They're home. They cannot put 30 points up. We got to hold them to 17 points, and we need to put up 40. We need to blow bitches out. Syracuse, our last game of the season. Syracuse smells blood in the water. We know they got a new coach. I think their coach comes from the Clemson tree. Like, nah, man. We got to beat the shit out of them. They can't put up 30 points. If either one of those teams puts up 30 points and we lose to SMU, Miami fans, we can't complain because that's what they're going to point to. They're going to be like, but gosh, teams that don't look good against Miami. Why
Right.
we should let them in the 12-team playoff and their defense is going to go to sleep? And then what happens if we shut down their offense? That's not good for TV. Don't nobody want to see nobody get massacred out there. All right, we don't want to look like Florida State where you get beat down 53-15. Your offense ain't no good and the defense don't look good. So
But you want Cam though. Cam has been box office. You want Cam. Cam has been a story this year, so you do want Cam in there versus
you
you
but
know.
team got to look good. You can't look bad at any of your losses.
True, true.
Dog, we seen what happened to Florida State. At the time it looked like Florida State got robbed, but when it got down to it, when it comes down to the money, you want a brand in there, but you can't look bad. If they have Miami going there and Miami gets drugged, that's not good for TV, and people are mad. And so I think they got it right last year. Let's just say you have Florida State with no quarterback in there, and you get beat down by Alabama 34, and you don't put no points up. That's not nobody. Listen, do you remember what happened when TCU played? They lost, right? Because TCU, you remember that year, and
Mm.
they played Michigan. They beat down Michigan. They did. And I think it was a competitive game. But do you remember Georgia beating TCU? It was
Beat
like six
the shit out
five.
of you. Yeah, beat the shit
That
out
was
of TCU.
the slack ass championship. That was not a successful championship. Georgia did what they supposed to do. For when you got bigger contracts now, you got to avoid that. So I just think once again, it's like it's great. We Miami fans, but I gotta think like a person who's not a Miami fan and who's on that committee. All those people on those committee are in those other conferences. Okay, they're in the SEC, they're in the Big Ten, and so they're gonna look at it like, bro, these guys have no defense. What
So it's
happened?
not. So you saying Miami don't just gotta win? They gotta win. Like they gotta look really good. They gotta be blowing bitches out.
Here's the thing: Miami got to blow bitches out if you're gonna lose in the ACC championship game.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna fuck around here and get this there, then you need to blow bitches out and look good. But listen, Miami, listen, if they want to go ahead and let Wake Forest throw up 25, which is not a good look, you know what I'm saying? Especially, and that's why I say this weekend we really got to pay attention because if North Carolina, which hasn't been good this year, beats down and they don't score too many points, but they score against Miami, that's not looking good.
Yeah.
Syracuse play this weekend.
Let me see who Syracuse play.
Syracuse looks Syracuse loses, which I don't even know what Syracuse record is. I know they got like 2 losses though. But if Syracuse, if they look okay, but then they look good against Miami and we barely win, you gotta be
Syracuse is sitting at 6-3. They 3-3 in the conference.
okay. Who do they play though?
Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah.
Syracuse plays Cal.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought. So this is gonna be an interesting game because Cal put up 38 on Miami, I believe.
Yeah.
Who
And,
up 30?
Syracuse can score points. They've been a little bit up and down, but they lost last week to Georgia. I mean to Boston College 37-31, but then they won the week before that 38-31 over Virginia Tech. So like it and watching them, I mean their schedule says what they are. They're basically up and down. They win one week, they lose another week. They win
Well,
one week,
here's
they lose another week.
about the Pitt game. The Pitt game was a disaster because Pitt's defense,
Yeah.
they ate like to have. So really, Syracuse, that was a winnable game. They turned the ball over, but they like to put up 30 points.
Yeah, and
So
they also when UNLV was rolling, they beat UNLV 44-41. So like they can score points
Or
Kyle
oh,
McCord was Ohio State's, quarterback last year. Like they're just up and down. Like when they play good, they look good. When they play bad, it's just like okay, you can. They're just not a consistent team. That's not
it's
the team. Miami don't need to play with them.
what do you mean Miami don't need to play with them? Okay, so look, take out the Pitt game where they're 6-2 and they just couldn't get their offense going, and Pitt had a good defense. What I'm telling you is this: they like to score points. You don't need to get into a shootout with them
No,
because they're look around here and try to beat you. So what I'm telling you is that we seen our offense get shut down where we only got 23 points. Okay, so I think Syracuse is a game where it's like, look, you're really gonna have to play good, and you don't want to get into a shootout. If we get up to a shootout with them and we got to score 50 and they score 35, that's not a good look. Because then if we lose to SMU, I'm like, yeah, that's why you're not gonna get in. That's when they take another team, somebody who looks a little bit better. They'll take a second Big 12 team. So no, I ain't gonna lie, that's a scary game, and I think that's potentially why we. That's why if you're a Miami fan, you want obviously you want them to win because you don't want Syracuse to lose. Then you barely beat them.
right.
So the team, it's the last game of the season, and you know they got Miami circled. All right, they got Miami circled. They're like, okay, we can beat them. They've been in shootouts. They're probably the most lethal team because if you think about it, Cal don't score 30 points like that. All right, that's
Nah,
not their
it's not. No.
thing. 30, but it looks like Syracuse has the best. Syracuse is probably going to have the best offense out of everybody that we played this year. Because Georgia
Easily.
Tech, they're one of the
Easily. No, they're definitely gonna have the best offense. The most explosive offense we played this year.
our
Um,
defense looks bad. Miami, I don't even think that's just bad. They can beat Miami. Once you lost to Georgia Tech and you got comebacks against Cal, you got comebacks against Virginia Tech, they can beat Miami. So now
and Louisville put 45 up.
that's
Let's
what I'm
not forget that.
points. So and you got to think, dog. Lance, that defense is really, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, I'll say the offense too. Our offensive coordinator, he got to make sure that he's putting points up. So going for it on 4th and 1 and you don't got no real good play or you don't want to run. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Miami can lose that game. Miami has 2 losses. We don't play for the championship. This is a non-void conversation. So we can't even talk about, like, I know a lot of other podcasts are like, oh, no, none of one of those teams can do anything. And I was like, Miami barely beat Cal and Virginia Tech. Miami lost to Georgia Tech. What are you talking about? Manny had us down in the first half. So I'm like, look, we got to beat down Wake Forest, but yo, we need a statement win. And that's sad. We need a statement win against Syracuse.
I think I
Our defense,
think I think we need a great showing against Wake Forest. Like even before we get to Syracuse, I think we need to like show up to Wake Forest and put like and really put together like a full game where like the defense shuts them down. Because Wake Forest, I'm looking, they can score some points too. They've been inconsistent, but they scored 30 against Virginia. They scored 30 against NC State. They scored 24 and they scored 36 against Cal. So like, I mean, if they're one of those teams like you just don't want to overlook, um, I think that has to be the game, especially coming off a bye week. The committee, everybody's down on you. You had a bad loss to Georgia
well, we
Tech. It was a
no, no,
winnable game, but it just was like Miami looked really bad in that game. Like they just looked lost on both sides of the ball. Like they
we
gotta have a game where like Cam looks like the Heisman, like the defense looks legit, like everybody
oh,
looks like they clicking.
you not confident that Miami's not gonna come out of the week looking great?
Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. And I can see them overlooking Wake Forest. And I can see Wake Forest, like Georgia Tech, like Cal, like USF, like really just game planning and really having some shit for Miami because fuck Miami. That's how they see it. Fuck them. Like shit. Look, you know what? We could win by knocking them off. Let's knock them off. Matter of fact, it was everybody just assumed they was gonna win the ACC shit. Let's throw a monkey wrench and all that.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
do feel like those teams will be like, we got some shit we ain't showed y'all the whole year. We finna switch some shit up and we finna really throw the kitchen sink at you. I think that's when if you're a dominant team, it doesn't matter what another team does. You like impose your will and you put your foot on their neck from the start of the game. Miami needs to do that. They haven't showed that the whole year. They got us come out and like put their foot on somebody's neck and show the committee, because the committee gonna be looking at them like, oh no, we thought we believed in Miami, we thought we believed in Cam, but like you said, all these close wins, you playing from behind a lot. Mm,
You
oh no.
gotta beat down Wake Forest. If you let Wake Forest put 28 to 38 to 30 points on you, that's just a bad look. You gonna let Wake Forest do that? So if you throw that on you, like you said, Syracuse is gonna score. Dog, Lance Goodry, I feel like he's playing for his job. Like if Mario got any sense, these two games,
Mhm.
first of all, Frederic, you need to start. All that subbing, nah. You need I trust. That's like the only DB I trust. All right, like look, he need to play, but that safety, bro, you need to start a freshman at safety. All right, I'm sorry. That buddy that we got back there, and Maginawa, buddy, be missing tackles left and right. At this point, if you do the same things, you're gonna get the same results. I don't know what they were smoking at Florida game, but I need y'all boys to be on that. The next two games really lights out the rest of the season. But I mean, we can have wishful thinking all day. I'm like, look, you're gonna have to let more of these freshmen play, and you're gonna have to like during practice. I know that they playing games in the practices, right? There ain't no way that every week y'all missing tackles and then you're going in there, you're practicing it. Because if you practice like they were games and you would play like that, they're playing like this in games because that's what their practices are. And
Yeah.
so we have to deduce that, right? I see a lot of comments where when they started losing, a lot of people are like, "Oh, everybody's a coach now," and I'm like, "No, we've been saying this, okay?"
Yeah,
But
definitely been
I
saying that.
think if you're Miami fans, you want to watch Cal, you want to watch Wake Forest because we got to come out here and play. We got to come out here and play. And Clemson is just, oh my God, Clemson is like, please, Miami lose, please, please. Y'all don't got no defense. Lie down, just go to sleep. You know how somebody choking you? It's like just mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. That'll be so sad, dog. Cam it's already disappointing that our defense just decided that we was just gonna lay down. But you know what? Even more than that, if Lance Goodry just kicks those field goals, we barely win, which I'm not happy about, but I'll take the win. But I'm like,
we
yo,
don't
we let
we don't
left.
win. That's a game where we'll find a way to lose, dog. Like even if we did all the dog, it's gonna be games, dog. I say we find a way to lose. Dog, we take the field goals, we're gonna lose somewhere on some other shit. It's
But
just it's just the nature of how like they were playing.
if we take the two field goals, that's 6 points. It's 29-28.
No,
I'll
we
take.
win. We win by the number. I just feel like there's something else that's gonna happen in the game where we fuck it up. Um, Yeah, we're gonna lose that game because we don't know how to change game plans. We don't know how to switch it up. And the thing that I might be worried about is Cam coming out trying to press. Like I need to get back in the favor of the Heisman voters.
I
And they starting to talk this Shador stuff. Like, nah, Shador might be the best quarterback. Shador might be the first quarterback taken, not Cam.
think right now, yes. But the one thing I do like about Cam is I think Cam, his father, and I think his camp, they're gonna watch game tape. I trust Cam's coaching more than I trust Dawson and Goodry because Goodry I mean, he just sounds like he don't care. Dawson goes for it twice on 4-1, so I know you don't care. You don't got no special plays. You get down there. I think Cam is going to look at the tape. I think Cam's going to be hard on himself. Honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and say Cam can come back out and Cam's gonna make smarter decisions. I think he comes back out because think about it. He really hasn't thrown any stupid interceptions lately. He's just thrown the ball away, and I can respect that. I think he comes out. I think he still wants the hero, but he'll go ahead and take what the defense gives him. And I think he games plan with Dawson more like no. I think he realizes that Dawson kind of let him down a little bit. So he's like, nah, well, okay, you know what? I'm gonna call some other plays. I think they go back to the tight ends. And I think Dawson realized because when they were winning, they were talking about Dawson was gonna be a head coach somewhere. So I'm like, look, you know, Dawson, I felt like him fucking up that last game kind of threw that out the window. So no, they gotta win out. If he looks bad and they don't win out, they're gonna look at it like, yo, you messed up one of the best seasons you could have had. So I
Yeah.
think right? And then, I mean, let's just get to a couple of other games outside of those games. I think Georgia and Tennessee is a big game, but I don't think their quarterback is playing. So I think Tennessee has two losses, and I think it's a scenario where, yeah, like you said, we got three SEC teams with two losses. I think LSU and Florida
They'll
is.
have 6 SEC teams with 2 losses. Six of them. Nah, I'm telling you, they're gonna get 5 teams in. They're not just gonna get 4. They're gonna get 5. Your 6 teams, dog, is gonna be crazy.
I see them
You
getting
got
five.
You got Tennessee if they end up with 2 losses. Texas A&M, who lost, will be to South Carolina and Notre Dame. Texas, who if they lose, they'll be to Georgia and Texas A&M. Georgia, which is the 4th team. Ole Miss and Bama. That's 6 teams.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Telling you, the committee fucking loves the SEC more than anybody.
No,
They'll
but
try to get them all in if they can.
they ain't gonna do 6. They'll do 5, and they'll make Texas A&M on the outside looking in.
No,
They'll take.
if Tennessee loses and they end up with 2 losses, and Texas, let's say they loses to Texas A&M and end up with 2 losses, you'll have 6 teams with 2 losses,
I
and
know, but
all ranked in the top 12.
but here's the tiebreaker. The tiebreaker is they're gonna have the automatic whoever wins the S. So
The
who wins it?
automatic. So there'll be one team that'll end up with 3 losses. So you could argue 5.
I think 5 because somebody's gonna have that third loss in the SEC championship game. Who plays for the SEC championship if it were today?
If it was today, it'd be Tennessee and A&M.
But let's
No,
realistically
no,
go
I'm sorry. It'll be Tennessee and Texas.
Tennessee and Texas. Let
Mhm.
me go and let's really lay it out. I think Texas beats Texas A&M today. Um, I think Tennessee's gonna have 2 losses. I think Georgia is one of those teams in there. No, Georgia, because Alabama beat Georgia, so it might be out.
Georgia has 2 losses.
It might be Alabama and Ole Miss inside. No, but Tennessee beat Alabama,
Exactly.
so it could be Tennessee. Yeah, it could be Tennessee and Ole Miss or something stupid like. No, no, no. Ole Miss and Texas.
Nah, that's what I'm saying. And I'm just saying from the standpoint of we all knew the SEC was going to beat up on each other.
Yeah.
Now that you got this many teams in the conference, them having 2 losses, they're all against like top 15 opponents versus a team like Miami that could have 2 losses that'll be like not with the same strength of schedule. So if Tennessee ends up losing to Georgia, the only team that'll have 1 loss will be Texas. If Texas loses to Texas A&M, they'll have 2. You'll have 6 teams with 2 losses in the top 15.
I think Texas runs out their schedule because I think Texas A&M is the last
It's
team.
the last team.
So I think it's Texas and like Ole Miss.
So if Texas wins out and Ole Miss beat Georgia,
Yep.
but did they lose? Did they play Bama?
No.
No, and they
Texas,
don't play Bama.
like Arkansas and I forgot who
Yeah, they play
else.
Arkansas, Florida, Mississippi State.
And they lost to fucking.
They lost to Kentucky. That can fuck them up.
Who lost to Kentucky? Ole Miss.
Yeah, Ole Miss lost to Kentucky, and they lost to LSU.
But none of those teams. I don't know. Like with
But
the
Georgia has a bad loss to Ole Miss. Like they got beat pretty good.
yeah, but I mean, Ole Miss was still, you know what I'm saying? Your only other loss is to Alabama. So it's just like
And then
Texas,
but Bama lost to Vanderbilt,
yeah.
and they
And
lost to Tennessee.
it ends up being like Texas and like Tennessee is the only thing I can see.
No, I'm
Dog,
just saying, like, this is why I've been saying Miami don't need to put themselves in a position because the committee and because they already looked down on the ACC, they love the SEC, and they'll try because you got Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State, and potentially Indiana. They don't fuck with Indiana, and I don't know how Penn State is ranked number 4 now, but they're
in,
up there. So you
like this,
got 3 teams from the Big Ten that's going to get in, and potentially, I think they fuck Indiana, but let's say they don't. So now
no,
you got between You got damn near 9 to 10 teams between two conferences. Notre Dame is going to get in as an independent. So you'll have like this shit is going to be like like the Big 12 champ and the ACC champ, and then it might be one spot left.
It's gonna be a small school at large,
It could
basically.
be like Boise State.
Yeah,
Can
yeah,
we
yeah.
argue with them? Like that's what I'm saying. Miami has to just take care of business. If you don't take care of business and you put it in the hands of the voters, like that shit is going to be like, how are you going to argue like your position? Because your strength of schedule, even with your strength of schedule, you didn't look dominant in these games. So the games that you were supposed to win and win big, you didn't win big. Even though if you won, let's say you just and you end up losing a close game to SMU, they're gonna be like, well, how did you look in these other games? You had close games against teams. It wasn't like you were beating teams 70-3 or whatever. Like you have too many close games with a Heisman candidate quarterback. You should look better, even though your offense was doing what it's supposed to do. Like you should have looked better. And I just see that like the committee looking at those SEC teams like, well, they were losing against other quality competition versus
They,
Miami having trouble with inferior competition.
they have better strength of schedule. They got better losses. I just think that's what it is. I think if Miami loses, then they're just out. And I think as a Miami fan, you can't even be mad. Listen, you know what it is. You've been losing. You haven't looked dominant. So I just think it's in the story. I don't even think that that's something that you can get mad about. So right now we win or we ain't in. Bottom
Um,
line.
Another game, you wanted to look at was Clemson and Pitt. That could shake something up in the ACC.
Not if Miami. Not unless we lose. If we lose and we got two losses, then yeah, Clemson. You know what I'm saying? Clemson. Um, I don't even know. I don't even know because I've seen some stuff on like tiebreakers and this and this and that. I don't even know. I think you know what? No, because we got two losses and they only got one loss in conference play. Because right now we win the tiebreaker because we beat Louisville. They lost to Louisville. But once we have a second loss, then it's a wrap.
Yeah. Um,
Man, and it's just yeah. Look
LSU play Florida. That's just been a traditional game that's been
for
always been a good game.
the quarterback, they're starting to do from Yale. So yeah, that's just that's not a good look.
You do got Utah and Colorado State. I'm not Colorado State, Colorado. Colorado starting to make their push. Um,
Yeah,
they sitting at 7-2 right now.
man, nah, man. Like I said, man, all these games, some games matter. Some are just about seeding. But Colorado is very much alive. Now, I think that would be a story the committee would want to see, where if Colorado plays for the Big 12 championship and wins, oh yeah.
Mhm.
You don't even need listen. You don't need Miami in there. You got all the brand. You know what I'm saying? You got Dion in there. Yeah, that's gonna move the needle. Honestly, if it comes down to two teams where it's like Colorado doesn't win in the championship, and then you got Miami, they're gonna go with Colorado. Colorado has looked better. Colorado got Dion. That brand right now is hot, and right now Dion, just for where the sport is right now, like yeah, that's gonna have the eyeballs on the TV all day. So. So yeah, man. Look, at the end of the day, but man, look, man. Let's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, y'all jump in the comments. Y'all, what I'm saying. Figure out like, hey, how many teams do you think the ACC gets in there? Well, the ACC ain't gonna get but one, maybe two. SEC, I think at least four, maybe five. I think Big Ten three, but hey, y'all let us know what y'all think, man.
Yeah, I think the same. I said Miami just got to take care of business. Miami does what it's supposed to do. Don't leave it in the hands of the voters, and we'll be in. We leave it in the hands of the voters, man. It
I
should
mean, but
go either way.
you ain't look good, so the voters they can't lie. Like, look, you've been looking bad.
Yeah, that's true. But like I said, go ahead and jump in the comments and let us know what you think. I think we're gonna try to jump on South Coast. You're having a live tomorrow. We're gonna try to see if we can tap in with them and holler at the boys over there. Talk that talk with them over there. But yeah, till next time, man. It should play upon us for the bottom of the map.
The bottom of the map.
We gone.
Oh.